Hi guys, how are you? So in this session, we're going to go through market structure. I'll first introduce what the structure of the market is, and then we are going to discuss a perfectly competitive market. So when you're done with this lesson, you must understand what a perfectly competitive market is. There are a couple of diagrams that you have to understand how to draw. You must know how to draw them. The demand curve for the firm in a perfectly competitive market, the profit in the short run, what happens when you move from the short run to the long run, and you must also be able to show the short run supply curve for a firm in a perfectly competitive market. All right, so I really hope you guys will enjoy this session. The structure of the market basically looks at how firms interact in the goods market. Remember, one of the things that we have discussed at length is the interaction of households and firms in the goods market, where households demand goods and services and firms supply goods and services to the goods market. In this section, our focus mainly is to understand what really happens in that goods market. How do firms interact in the goods market? And to be able to understand the structure of the market, the way in which these firms are organized, we need to look at 8 characteristics and then conclude what type of a market we are dealing with. So we consider the number of firms in the market, the nature of the product that is being sold in the market, whether it's difficult to enter or leave the market, is information complete in the market or not, can firms collude, come together to decide on prices and output, do the firms have any control over the price in the market, the demand curve, what does it look like and why, and lastly, we consider the long run economic profit for the firms in the market, and then we decide what type of a market are we dealing with. For a perfectly competitive market, there has to be many buyers and sellers in the market. So the buyers and sellers in these markets are many. The products that are sold, they are exactly the same. When we say exactly the same, we say they look the same, they taste the same, they weigh the same. And we use the word homogeneous to describe products that are exactly the same. We use the term homogeneous. In a perfectly competitive market, it is easy to enter the market and it is easy to leave the market. So any firm can freely enter the market. If things are not going well, any firm can freely leave the market. The information is complete. Everyone knows what everyone is doing. The consumers know where to get the products. The firms know what the other firms are doing, what the other firms are selling, and at what price. Because the firms are many, these firms cannot collude. They cannot come together and determine prices and output. So collusion is impossible. Collusion is impossible. Also, because these firms are a lot, no one firm has market power. No one firm has market power in this market. Hence, we say the firms in this market are price takers. So they cannot have power to determine the price. Hence, we call them price takers, which means they take the price as given by the market. The demand curve for the firms is horizontal. I'm going to explain this in detail just now. But the demand curve for each firm is horizontal. And the profit that they make in the long run, the economic profit for these firms in the long run is zero. They make zero economic profit in the long run. All right. Now, in a perfectly competitive market, the firms are homogeneous, as we have pointed out here. the products that they sell are homogeneous, which means they are exactly the same. And because the products are exactly the same, they are perfect substitutes. These products are perfect substitutes. And when you have products that are perfect substitutes, the elasticity of demand for those products is elastic. So these products are perfectly elastic in their demand. And when you have perfectly elastic demand, you have a horizontal demand curve. Any slight change in the price of the product is going to completely change the demand schedule for a product. So it's going to look like this. This is the price of the product. This is the quantity for a particular firm. So this is for one firm in the market. The demand curve is going to be like this. This is the demand. And the price of one product, the products are homogeneous, exactly the same. Hence, the price is the same as the average revenue, which is the money you get per unit that you sell. And this is also the same as the marginal revenue, which is the amount you get by selling an extra unit of your product. So the demand is the same as the price, which is horizontal. This is the amount you get per unit that you have sold. This is the same as the amount that you get when you sell an extra unit of your product. And hence the demand curve for a firm in a perfectly competitive market should be horizontal. This simply means the demand for each product is perfectly elastic. The demand for each product is perfectly elastic. All right, the price elasticity of demand is infinity. I hope you guys remember this from this section on elasticity. Okay, now for you to be able to determine the point at which you're going to maximize your profit, what you do is you consider the profit, which is what most firms want to do. They want to maximize their profit. And the total profit for a firm, I'm going to use pi to represent profit. So this is just profit. And the profit is just the total revenue minus the total cost. The amount of money coming in when we sell our product minus the money going out, our expenses to the firm. All right. And the maximum profit in this instance, you're going to see if there is 0 products, there's no profit. 1 product, 500. This is just a hypothetical scenario. 2 products, 800. 3 products, 1,000. You would find that the maximum profit that we get here is 1,000. For 3 products and for 4 products, the profit does not change. If you sell a 5th product, the profit is going to go down to 950. All right. So for every change in your profit, for every change in the profit with respect to the output that you're selling, this is the change in profit. From 0 to 500, the change is 500. From 500 to 800, the change is 300. From 1,800 to 1,000, the change is 200. And from 1,000 to 1,000, the change is 0, which is where we got our maximum profit. So if we take the change in profit, what we do on the left, we do it on the right, minus the change in total cost over the change in quantity, right? We want to keep on producing until we have maximized our profit. This is the maximum profit. And at this point, the change in total profit is equal to 0. So this change in total profit is equal to 0. By definition, the change in revenue divided by the change in output is the marginal revenue. And the change in total cost over the change in quantity output is marginal cost. If we take this to the other side, we see that the profit is maximized where the marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost. So take note that for any market structure, the profit maximizing level of output is always the point at which the marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. All firms are going to produce at the point at which the marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue for them to be able to maximize their profit. This is a very important condition. Take note of this. All firms are always going to produce at a point at which the marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue for them to maximize their profit. Right. Now, for a firm in a perfectly competitive market, for it to make economic profit, the minimum point of the average total cost curve must be below the price, because remember the price is the average revenue. So the money that is coming in per unit sold must be more than the money going out, which is the average total cost per unit sold. So this basically should look like this. So I'm just going to illustrate it quickly here. Price and costs on this axis, and then quantity on this axis. If this is our price, which we said our price is the demand, is the average revenue, and it is the marginal revenue as well, the minimum point of the average total cost curve has to be below the price, such that we have the difference here being our profit, right? We have the difference here being our profit. If the marginal, if the price and the minimum point of the average total cost curve are the same, let's say the minimum point is here, and this is our average, and this is our average total cost curve. This is the minimum point, and this is the demand. The price here, price, costs, quantity. If the price touches the minimum point of the average total cost curve, we have no more profit. So in this instance, we have no more profit. And the normal profit by definition is when you take a look at the normal profit, we are considering implicit costs. So the total revenue and the total cost are equal. The total costs are both implicit and explicit costs. So when you take into consideration your implicit costs, which are opportunity costs, the profit that the firm makes, the economic profit, would be equal to zero. All right, that's what the normal profit is. We are just looking at the profit a firm would make even if it used its resources for the best alternative use, which is the opportunity cost by definition. The last scenario is a loss where the minimum point of the average total cost curve is above the price. So the minimum point of the average total cost curve is above the price, this average total cost. And in this instance, this cost is higher than the price. Hence, this area here is going to be our loss. So we're going to talk, I'm going to go into detail with one of these scenarios. And hopefully it's going to make more sense. But just remember, if the minimum point of the average total cost curve is below the price, then you have a profit because the price is higher than the average cost. But if they're equal, the average total cost and the price, if they're equal, then you have no more profit. If the minimum point goes above the price, this firm is making an economic loss. All right. The firm is making an economic loss. So the short-term profit is going to look something like this. Remember, the market, some texts call it the industry. We look at the aggregate of all the firms. We look at all the aggregate of all the firms. Hence, the demand curve is the demand we are used to. The supply is the supply that we are used to. The price, the quantity, and the equilibrium is here. This is the equilibrium price. and the quantities here. This is the total quantity on aggregate. Aggregate means total, right? This is for the firm. This is for the market. For the firm is going to take the price as is given by the market. So for a single firm, the price is taken from here. This price, they are price takers, no market power. They take this price, and this price determines their demand, which is the average revenue, which is the marginal revenue, right? This you label price and costs, because we put both costs and the other curves here, hence price and cost here. We will include the cost curves. The output is here. And if it's economic profit, remember, I said the minimum point of the average total cost curve must go below the price. So this is the average total cost curve. Your marginal cost curve is going to look like a J. Your marginal cost curve is going to look like a J. It goes like this. This is the marginal cost. Remember, the profit maximizing level of output is the point at which the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue. This is the marginal revenue, this is the marginal cost. They meet here, and this is the profit maximizing level of output for a firm. And if you touch the minimum point here, if you touch the minimum point of the average total cost curve here, this area becomes the short run economic profit for a firm in a perfectly competitive market. So this becomes the short run economic profit for a firm in a perfectly competitive market. Now, what happens when we move from the short run to the long run? I've redrawn the diagram that I drew in the previous page. Another one of the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market is that there's free entry and exit into the market. If firms are making economic profits, more firms want a share of that economic profit. Hence, firms are going to enter the market. As more firms enter the market, supply in that market is going to increase, and hence the supply curve for the market is going to shift to the right. So we are going to have this rightward shift of the supply. This is the new supply curve. Let me call it supply 1, which has shifted like this. This is an increase in supply. So this is a new equilibrium. This is a new equilibrium. And on this new equilibrium, we have on the new equilibrium, we have a new price which is lower. We have a new price which is lower here. New equilibrium, new price which is lower. And the firms are price takers. They're going to take this price as given. So this becomes the price for the firm. And hence the new demand curve is going to be down here. This is the new demand curve. So the demand is going to shift downwards like this. You are going to have firms continue to enter the market until the price for a firm is at the minimum point of the average total cost curve. And if that is the case, then the firm is making long run economic profit. So all firms in a perfectly competitive market, regardless of where they start off, whether they start off making economic losses or they start off making economic profit, in the long run, they're always going to make normal profits. So this is zero economic profit, and this is normal profit for firms in a perfectly competitive market, right? And then to determine the supply curve in the short run for this firm, this one is straightforward because we repeat the curves that we've been drawing, which is price costs, which I hope you're familiar with. And they are going to look like this. So output here, the average total cost curve is like this, and the average variable cost curve is like this. This is the average variable cost. average total cost, marginal cost. Okay, so the shutdown rule for the firm is that a firm should shut down when the price is less than the average variable cost. This is the shutdown rule. A firm should shut down when the price is below the average variable cost here. So if the price goes below this point here, if the price goes below this, I'll call this P1. If the price goes below here, the firm has to shut down. However, if the price is equal to the minimum point of this average total cost curve, the firm can continue to operate, but it will be breaking even. To break even, it means the total revenue is equal to the total cost. That's what the break even means. But below P1, the firm has to shut down. If the firm is shutting down below P1, what it therefore means is that any point from P1 going up becomes the supply curve of the firm in the short run. So any point on the marginal cost curve below, above P1 on the marginal cost curve becomes the short run supply curve for the firm. So this is the short run supply. So this is the short run supply. All right. So make sure you understand this and know how to draw this. And ultimately, I've put together some exercises for you guys to practice. Right, you need to practice this. The first one is similar to what I showed you, but in this instance, it's the opposite. I showed you how to draw from economic profit to normal profit in the long run. I want you guys to try do this by yourself, where you draw from economic loss to normal profit in the long run. All right, so do this. The second exercise, I give you a diagram and I want you to be able to name all the curves in this graph, be able to name all the curves in this graph, and also identify the shutdown, the break even, and whether or not this firm is making an economic profit or economic loss. Right? Do you enjoy going through these exercises? In the next session, what we'll do is I'm going to go through the exercises and then we'll talk about imperfect competition. This video is actually a bit longer than I'd hoped, but I hope you're getting the stuff. That's what's important. Cheers.